Cold water presses in from every direction, black and heavy, absorbing sound, light, and heat. A vast shape moves beneath the surface, silent, deliberate, impossibly controlled. It does not rush. It does not panic. It waits. In these oceans, most predators survive by speed or strength. This one survives by something stranger, by planning, by memory, by culture. Across the planet, the same animal behaves in radically different ways. In one sea, it hunts seals with violent precision. In another, it ignores seals completely and lives on fish alone. Some travel in tight family units that never break apart. Others speak in dialects no outsider understands. Genetically, they are nearly identical. Behaviorally, they might as well be different species. Nothing about this animal fits the rules we expect predators to follow. Size does not predict its prey. Habitat does not define its behavior. Even instinct seems negotiable. Today, we're diving into why nothing about killer whales is normal, why their biology, evolution, intelligence, and social lives break nearly every pattern scientists once believed governed animal life. What emerges is not just a predator, but a biological anomaly shaped as much by learning as by evolution. The animal moving through the water looks the same everywhere it appears. A black and white body, tall dorsal fin, powerful tail strokes. To the human eye, a killer whale in Norway and a killer whale in Antarctica are visually interchangeable. For much of the 20th century, science treated them that way, as a single, globally roaming apex predator, adaptable but fundamentally uniform. That assumption did not survive close observation. As researchers began following orcas over decades, a pattern emerged that was deeply unsettling to classical ecology. In the same oceans, sometimes overlapping in range, groups of killer whales lived side by side, yet behaved as if they occupied entirely different worlds. They did not compete. They did not interbreed. They did not even acknowledge each other. In the northeastern Pacific, 3 well-studied forms, residents, transients, and offshores, share coastal waters. Resident killer whales eat fish almost exclusively, with a heavy preference for salmon. They move predictably, vocalize constantly, and hunt cooperatively using echolocation to locate prey. Transients, now often called Biggs killer whales, pass through the same waters but behave like shadows. They hunt seals and porpoises, remain largely silent to avoid alerting prey, and travel in smaller, less predictable groups. Offshores, encountered far less frequently, consume sharks and large fish, their teeth worn down by abrasive skin and cartilage. Genetically, these groups are remarkably similar. Ecologically, they might as well be separate species. The divergence becomes even more striking elsewhere. In Antarctic waters, multiple orca types specialize in prey ranging from fish to penguins to other whales. Some deliberately create waves to wash seals off ice floes, a technique requiring precise coordination and timing. Others hunt deep-diving beaked whales, a pursuit demanding breath control and endurance few marine predators possess. These strategies are not improvised. They are consistent, repeatable, and inherited across generations. What makes this extraordinary is not specialization itself. Many predators specialize, but the rigidity of that specialization. A fish-eating resident orca does not switch to hunting seals when salmon numbers drop. A mammal-hunting orca does not opportunistically take fish. calves raised in one dietary tradition remain locked into it for life. In most species, ecological niches are flexible. Wolves may hunt deer or elk depending on availability. Bears shift diets seasonally. Even highly specialized predators retain a degree of opportunism. Killer whales largely do not. This creates a biological paradox. Natural selection favors flexibility in changing environments, yet orcas thrive by committing fully to a single strategy. Their specialization is so extreme that scientists use the term ecotype to describe them. Behaviorally distinct populations within one species, shaped not by geography alone, but by learned behavior. The result is an animal that resists categorization. It is not a generalist apex predator, nor a narrow specialist in the traditional sense. It is something more unstable, more fragmented. A single species behaving as multiple ecological entities, each following its own rules. For biology, this presents a challenge. If species are defined by shared behavior, shared ecology, and shared reproduction, killer whales quietly undermine all three. They share DNA, but not lifestyle. They share habitat, but not prey. They share oceans, but not cultures. A predator that refuses to be one thing forces science to confront an uncomfortable possibility: that evolution does not always operate through bodies alone. Sometimes, it works through behavior so entrenched that it reshapes what a species even is. For most of evolutionary biology, inheritance has meant one thing: genes. Traits pass from parent to offspring through DNA, and natural selection filters which of those traits endure. Behavior, in this framework, is largely instinctual, hardwired responses refined slowly across generations. Killer whales do not fit cleanly into that model. In orcas, some of the most critical survival traits are not encoded in genes at all. They are learned. From the first months of life, a calf begins absorbing a behavioral blueprint that will shape its entire existence. What to eat, how to hunt it, when to remain silent, when to signal. These are not discovered through trial and error. They are taught. Young orcas swim in tight formation with their mothers, observing, imitating, and practicing skills that took generations to refine. Nowhere is this clearer than in hunting strategies. In Patagonia, certain killer whale groups intentionally beach themselves to snatch sea lion pups from the shoreline. The maneuver is dangerous. A miscalculation can strand a whale fatally. Calves are not born knowing how to do this. They rehearse it for years, first watching adults, then attempting partial beachings under close supervision. Adults intervene when calves misjudge the slope or timing, physically guiding them back to deeper water. In Antarctic waters, wave washing techniques are passed down in a similar way. Multiple whales coordinate their movements to generate waves that break ice floes apart. Precision matters. Speed matters. A single error ruins the attempt. The choreography is learned, not instinctive, and calves raised outside these groups never acquire it. Even communication follows cultural lines. Orca populations possess distinct vocal dialects, specific call patterns unique to their group. These dialects are stable across generations, functioning like acoustic signatures. A resident killer whale can often identify another's family simply by sound. Transient orcas, by contrast, vocalize far less, a behavioral adaptation linked directly to their prey's sensitivity to noise. What is remarkable is how these learned behaviors reshape evolutionary pressure. Once a population commits to a cultural strategy, natural selection begins favoring bodies that support that behavior. Fish-eating orcas tend to have slightly different tooth-wear patterns than mammal hunters. Diving behavior influences lung capacity and oxygen management. Over time, culture and biology begin reinforcing each other. This creates a feedback loop rare in non-human animals. Culture determines behavior. Behavior influences survival. Survival shapes which genetic traits persist. Evolution, in this case, does not flow solely from DNA outward. It loops through learning, memory, and social structure. The cost of this system is high. Cultural specialization reduces flexibility. An orca cannot easily abandon its inherited strategy if conditions change. But the payoff is efficiency. Within their niche, these whales become exceptionally effective predators, outperforming generalists through precision rather than adaptability. Killer whales reveal a deeper truth about evolution, that in highly intelligent social animals, natural selection can operate on traditions as much as on traits. Genes still matter, but they do not tell the whole story. In orcas, survival is written partly in memory, passed not through chromosomes, but through minds. A killer whale's brain is massive, weighing up to 6 kilograms, larger than that of any other marine mammal except the largest baleen whales. But size alone does not explain what makes it unusual. Its structure tells a more specific story. Regions associated with social processing, emotional regulation, and communication are disproportionately developed, while areas linked to solitary problem solving are less emphasized than one might expect for an apex predator. This is not the brain of a lone hunter. Orca intelligence is built for coordination. Every critical behavior in their lives, hunting, navigation, caregiving, depends on synchrony with others. A single whale cannot execute most of the strategies that define its survival. Success depends on shared timing, shared understanding, and shared intent. This is evident in how young whales learn. Teaching in animals is rare by strict biological definition, yet orcas meet many of the criteria. Adults modify their behavior in the presence of calves, slowing hunts, repeating actions, and allowing mistakes. In seal hunting populations, adults intentionally release prey in front of juveniles, creating opportunities to practice capture techniques. These actions carry a cost: lost food, wasted energy, but persist because they increase long-term group success. Memory underpins this system. Killer whales live far longer than most predators of comparable size, often exceeding 60 years, with some females surviving well into their 80s. Such lifespans allow knowledge to accumulate rather than reset each generation. Migration routes, seasonal prey movements, and rare hunting techniques are retained across decades. Neuroanatomically, orcas possess a highly folded cerebral cortex and an expanded limbic system. The insular cortex, associated in humans with empathy and self-awareness, is particularly well developed. While direct comparisons between human and cetacean cognition are limited, the architecture suggests a mind attuned to social nuance rather than abstract reasoning. This specialization comes at a biological cost. Large brains are energetically expensive, demanding constant glucose and oxygen. Maintaining them requires stable food access and cooperative provisioning. For solitary animals, such investment would be unsustainable. For orcas, it is offset by group hunting efficiency and social cohesion. Intelligence in killer whales is not about cleverness in isolation. It is not puzzle solving or tool use in the traditional sense. It is the ability to function as part of a collective organism, multiple bodies guided by shared understanding. Coordination replaces improvisation. Trust replaces redundancy. This helps explain why orcas struggle profoundly in isolation. Captive individuals, deprived of complex social interaction, often display cognitive and behavioral deterioration. Their intelligence has no outlet when stripped of context. A brain evolved for connection falters without it. In killer whales, intelligence is not a personal asset. It is a communal one. Evolution has shaped a mind that only fully exists within the group, revealing a form of cognition where survival depends not on what one animal knows, but on what many know together. Among mammals, family bonds usually loosen with time. Offspring mature, disperse, and form their own reproductive units. Even in highly social species, separation is expected. Killer whales follow a different rule. In their world, leaving is not a phase of life. It almost never happens. A typical orca is born into a matriline, a family unit centered around an older female, and remains within it for life. Sons do not disperse. Daughters do not form independent pods. Multiple generations move together through the ocean as a stable social entity, sometimes for decades. When individuals are separated, it is usually the result of death, not choice. This structure creates one of the most extreme forms of family cohesion known in non-human animals. Mothers maintain close physical proximity to their offspring long after weaning. Adult males, despite their size and strength, continue to rely on their mothers for social integration and access to group knowledge. When a matriarch dies, the effects ripple outward. Survival rates among her adult sons drop sharply, even though they are fully capable hunters. The reason lies in information. Older females act as repositories of ecological memory. They remember where prey congregates during lean years, how migration routes shift during climate fluctuations, and when to abandon familiar waters. During periods of food scarcity, pods led by experienced matriarchs are more likely to survive. This advantage is so pronounced that it reshapes reproductive biology itself. Female killer whales undergo menopause, a rarity in the animal kingdom. Long after they stop reproducing, they continue to live for decades. From a purely genetic perspective, this seems inefficient. Natural selection should favor individuals that reproduce for as long as possible. Yet, in orcas, post-reproductive females persist, and their presence measurably increases the survival of their descendants. This phenomenon, known as the grandmother effect, is observed in humans and only a handful of other species. In killer whales, it appears to be particularly strong. A grandmother's knowledge benefits not just her direct offspring, but the entire matriline. By reducing mortality during critical periods, she indirectly increases the transmission of her genes, even without further reproduction. Comparisons with other mammals highlight how unusual this is. Elephants also maintain long-lasting family units, led by older females, but offspring eventually form new groups. Wolves disperse to establish new packs. Primates fracture into complex, shifting alliances. Orcas remain fixed. The cost of such stability is vulnerability. When populations decline, social networks fracture slowly. Recovery is not simply a matter of increasing birth rates. Lost knowledge cannot be replaced quickly. Cultural memory vanishes with individuals. What emerges is a species whose survival strategy depends less on numbers and more on continuity. Family in killer whales is not a temporary structure. It is the mechanism through which evolution operates, preserving knowledge, coordinating behavior, and binding generations into a single biological unit that moves through time as much as through space. Killer whales occupy an uncomfortable space in biology. They look familiar enough to classify, yet behave in ways that resist the categories science relies on to make sense of life. They are one species, but live as many. They are predators, yet bound by rules stricter than hunger. They are animals, yet carry cultures that persist longer than individual lives. This tension exposes the limits of how humans define biological reality. Species are traditionally separated by genetics and reproduction. Orcas complicate that framework. Distinct populations rarely interbreed, not because they cannot, but because their cultures do not allow it. Diet, hunting style, communication, and social norms form invisible boundaries stronger than physical barriers. In practice, these populations function as separate evolutionary units, even while sharing nearly identical DNA. Intelligence presents a similar challenge. For decades, animal cognition was measured through individual problem solving, tools, puzzles, innovation. Orcas do not excel in isolation. Their intelligence emerges only in context, distributed across relationships, memory, and coordination. Remove the social structure, and the intelligence collapses. This forces a reconsideration of what intelligence actually is. Not a property of a single brain, but of a network. Even evolution itself appears different through this lens. In killer whales, adaptation does not wait for mutation. Culture moves faster. A new hunting technique can spread within a generation, immediately altering survival odds. Over time, bodies begin to follow behavior rather than lead it. Teeth, muscles, diving physiology. These shift in response to cultural demands. Evolution becomes partially guided by learning. Yet much remains unresolved. Scientists still debate whether some orca ecotypes should be considered separate species. The genetic differences are subtle, but the ecological and behavioral divisions are profound. There is no consensus, only growing discomfort with existing definitions. Conservation adds another layer of complexity. Protecting killer whales is not simply about preserving numbers. It is about preserving cultures. When a matriarch dies, knowledge dies with her. When a population collapses, a unique way of living disappears, even if the species survives elsewhere. Recovery is not guaranteed because culture cannot be repopulated the way genes can. Human activity intensifies this fragility. Noise pollution interferes with communication. Overfishing removes culturally specific prey. Climate change alters ecosystems faster than traditions can adapt. The very traits that made killer whales so successful, their specialization, their loyalty to inherited strategies, now make them vulnerable. Killer whales do not offer neat conclusions. They offer questions. How much of evolution happens outside DNA? Where does culture end and biology begin? At what point does losing a population mean losing something irretrievable? In the cold oceans where they move, these questions remain unanswered. Orcas continue to hunt, teach, remember, and persist according to rules older than human science and more complex than it once imagined. They are not anomalies to be explained away. They are reminders that life does not always organize itself according to the categories we create, and that understanding sometimes lags behind reality.